Welcome to our evidence-based channel for awareness on mental health and relationship matters. If you find this video interesting or helpful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Ammar Mohammed.
Got it. Yeah, good point. So what I'm hearing from you is mainly like for the people and for all of us really is to really be present, be in the moment.
Yep. Mhm.
Make the take the positive look at how what even though we're between four walls and so on, what can I do to make this a positive experience with myself, with my family, and there are so many things that we can definitely think about, and I hope that we get to talk about some ideas on what people can do to make things a little bit more positive. And I guess what I'm hearing from you also is that there are two sources of stressors and anxiety. In one sense is the actual illness is really to the worries or the stressors about you actually catching on that illness or that disease. And the other worry is the dealing with the unknown and the future, the uncertainty that's what's coming up next, and what is this causing. I guess I'm thinking of also a third kind of type of scenarios that would cause stressors and anxiety is what we have lost. The freedom, maybe also a lot of people may have been impacted financially, like you mentioned. So these are the things also that would cause ruminating on the past, what I used to have and now I don't have, and that kind of more challenge on really being present. And I guess what I'm hearing from you is like when we're looking at this is really looking at it from a positive sense, and to see the movement control, the movement restrictions, or the social distancing in a positive sense, but actually act on it. It's not just something that we hope it will happen on its own, or it's just give it time, it'll come. But actually, what I'm hearing from you is that we need to kind of do something to make that happen. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. Because at the moment, we have to look at the long term of things as well. Like if we don't protect ourselves and we don't really follow through with the movement control and stop the transmission, this is going to drag longer. And that's going to cause a lot of problems later on in life, because we don't know how long we can last in this current state with whatever we have. Some people are having a really hard time being at home cooped up for 2 weeks, and thinking that this is going to extend for the next 2 months. It's just daunting for them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we don't want to extend that. So let's just try to hang on for a little bit longer so we can reap the benefits later on, where we don't
Well,
have to be this in this
Well,
situation
I,
anymore.
I remember in the old days when we watched movies in the year 2000, we were like seeing movies like cars flying, right? And clothes like for example, Back to the Future, right? Is a very famous
Mm.
movie. It showed the different life than what we're experiencing these days.
Mm.
So there's no doubt that past kind of puts an expectation of what we're supposed to be, and the reality is clashing to that kind of mental, state, that if you will, on where we would need to be in the year 2000. But here we are between four walls, can't talk to, can't go out, and the thought of being in the year 2000, plus 2020 and all that, in this new century, being constrained at home is quite a challenge to cope with. And I guess what I'm hearing from you is what you said earlier, and in relates to this is in relation to this is that looking forward, when this is removed, when this is back to normal, when we are back to our lives and picking up things from where we left off. And I think that's quite a positive thing that we can focus on, at least most of us, Many people also can think like, well, this is not really so positive for me because I have to start from scratch, or I have to do
Mm,
some cleanup, or have to do this or that. But nevertheless, it's still a positive thing because you are back to your normal life. It is a setback, at
mm.
some point, but it is still a positive move to in the right direction for you to be able to pick up where you left off and start and hopefully it's going to be a new and a very nurturing life moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. This is the time that we can really, reframe or restructure or reflect on certain things that we've done so far, whether it's by work or by personal, and really think through how we are looking at ourselves and our lives, so that when we go back to, our normality later on, we're able to kind of be better, to come out to be a better person, to ourselves, to our families, and to the people around us, because this is the time that we should be grateful. I mean, for, as a Muslim or as a Christians, or as personal belief, we are always taught to be grateful of the things, even the smallest things, because at the end of the day, we are still breathing. We are still with our loved ones. Imagine those who have lost their loved ones during this time, and it has been hard for them, and it's probably harder for them to move on because this can be prevented. So if we don't want to be going through the same thing as they would, we take whatever win we can get, I would say, and look at life a little bit more different, a bit more grateful, and do the things that, positive things that we're not able to do before, and we wanted to do it now. So, like I said, take whatever win we can get at the moment, because that's the positive things that we can come up with, and be a better person coming out of this.
Great. So I was thinking if we focus from this point on in our talk, our little chat here, is to think of how, what ideas that we can think of that we can share for people really to stay positive from an aspect of worries about or stressors about getting the illness, getting the virus, and then we can talk about things to do and how to manage or reframe the dealing with or coping with being at home. How can we make that as a positive thing? So something tangible that people can try and people can be brainstorming about. And the third one is really about thinking about the restrictions that they are missing out on what they used to have, and also the financial impact and how to make that kind of thought, the stressors around that positive. So we can go ahead and start with the first one in terms of the illnesses. One thing that is coming to mind is that if people are still worried about getting or catching this disease, it's something to be positive about and think about that it has been more than 2 weeks as of now, that with the restriction and the social distancing here in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had the symptoms this far, that's a very positive sign, and that's a very strong um, statement that you can tell yourself. If I haven't had it now, then I'm in good shape. Then my family with me in the same house they are also in a good shape. We're all safe. Does that make sense from your perspective? Because from your perspective, in a sense that because you have medical background, so. Uh, is that a
Yep.
true statement? What I mentioned earlier, does that jive with the medical
Yeah, yep,
standard?
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you're taking precautions, preventative measures for yourself and your family, and so far it's been 2 weeks, and you haven't had any illnesses or symptoms, and then you've gone out, you've gone to the groceries, you buy stuff, you do go out once every 3 or 4 days to just get stuff and stock up for home and stuff, and you're the only person who has any contact with the outside world at the moment. You're doing something right. So whatever it is that you're doing, keep on doing it. If anything, take more preventative precautions, because it's like going to war, as we say. It's like you're going out there and you're putting your life at risk every single day, and then coming home triumphantly without having getting all being infected, I think that's a win on its own, because
Right.
it's really difficult. Some people have anxiety just stepping outside. The fear of getting infected is so overwhelming, and at the end
Right.
of the day, they don't even want to step out. For those
Yeah.
who have
Yeah.
some existing, general anxiety disorders would have that, because they've access. I'm going to go out, I'm going to get infected, I'm going to get sick, and I know I'm going to die, those things. But if you already gone out several times throughout this movement control, and you are not, having symptoms, and your family is not having symptoms, you've done something right. And that's kudos to you, because you kept
Yeah.
your family safe. And that's the
Yeah.
most important thing, right? We want to keep ourselves safe and our family safe. And at the same
Right.
time, what we're doing is also keeping other families safe as well, because you are not transmitting any disease at the same time, as you
Right.
don't not carrying it. So I think that's really good. That's very positive. And moving on for the next couple of weeks is to maintain that fact that you're still healthy, that you are not getting infected. So again, take precautionary measures when going out, making sure that you are, sanitizing yourself. You before come when you come home, if you needed to sanitize your groceries, sanitize the bags that you use. And you don't know, I mean, those little steps actually saves you a lot of trouble later on, because if one of the members of your family is sick, you have to call in the hospital, the
I
ambulance